Behind the quiet streets of Asheville, two tiny girls huddled in the shadows, shivering, hungry, forgotten by the world. Their small hands clutched a bruised apple and a worn teddy bear, eyes filled with silent fear. They whispered, "Please, don't tell, we're not bad," hoping no one would see their struggle. Then he appeared. Caleb Whitmore, a man with millions yet no warmth in his heart, paused as he caught sight of their tears. Something in him shifted an old, buried instinct, a flicker of compassion he thought long gone. He stepped closer, offering more than just food. He offered safety, presence, and care. In that fleeting moment, the course of 3 lives would change forever. If you love stories of hope, family, and second chances, subscribe to the Retold Stories now and witness the miracles that unfold when hearts choose to act. The late autumn air carried a crisp chill, rustling through the streets of Asheville and curling around fallen maple leaves like a whisper of forgotten stories. Caleb Whitmore, a man who had mastered every boardroom and business deal imaginable, stepped out of the small organic market with nothing more than a paper bag of apples and a cup of black coffee. His life had been an autopilot of luxury, tailored suits, sleek cars, and millions in the bank. Yet something gnawed quietly at the edges of his consciousness, something beyond spreadsheets and power meetings. As he walked along the quiet sidewalk bordering a small park, laughter drifted across the fallen leaves. Children spun and played, their joy striking a chord Caleb had not felt in years. He paused, feeling the strange tug of nostalgia and loneliness intertwining. Then he heard a faint, hiccuped sob, delicate and fragile, carried on the cold wind. Turning toward the alley behind the grocery store, he noticed them. 2 tiny figures huddled together, knees drawn to their chests, arms clinging tightly around one another. Their eyes, wide with fear, mirrored one another perfectly. They were unmistakably twins. A torn teddy bear clutched in one child's arms and a small sleeve of crackers in the other's hand spoke of a hunger far beyond casual neglect. Caleb froze, the air thick with the scent of damp cardboard and cold asphalt. "Please don't tell. We're not bad," the smaller twin whispered, her voice barely more than a breath, yet piercing through Caleb's composed exterior. His throat went dry. In that moment, the CEO became something unfamiliar, a man confronted with raw human vulnerability, stripped of title and wealth. "Where are your parents?" he asked, his voice rougher than intended. The taller twin exchanged a glance with her sister, a silent dialogue of trust and fear rehearsed countless times before. Finally, she spoke. "Mommy said she'd come back, but it's been too long." The words landed like stones in Caleb's chest. He crouched carefully, not to startle them. "Are you hurt?" he asked gently. Both shook their heads. They were cold. They were hungry. Their tiny hands trembled as they clutched the meager contents of their grocery bag, 2 crackers and a bruised apple. Caleb's mind raced through rules, liabilities, and the logistics of intervention, but all of it faded against the swell of emotion pressing against his chest. He made a simple offer, something warm to eat. The children nodded, eyes cautiously trusting this stranger who had entered their fragile world. Leading them to a quiet corner of the cafe inside the grocery store, Caleb placed them in a booth bathed in the soft amber glow of hanging bulbs. Each step, each motion was deliberate, a silent acknowledgement of the gravity of the moment. 2 bowls of chicken soup, cocoa with extra marshmallows, and muffins arrived shortly. He watched as they shared their meal, a perfect unspoken rhythm of care and familiarity. Hazel sipped her cocoa, the steam fogging her small face, while Lily gently divided her crackers, sharing them as if it were habit, not charity. Caleb's phone buzzed insistently in his pocket, yet he ignored it. He was fully present for the first time in years. The world beyond the walls of that booth had ceased to exist. Something long dormant stirred within him, compassion, a sense of duty, a flicker of paternal instinct he could not leave. Pulling his overcoat from his shoulders, Caleb draped it over Hazel, who nestled into the warmth as if she had known comfort only in fleeting dreams. He noticed the subtle expressions, the quiet gratitude shining in their eyes. It was a fragile trust, one he vowed not to betray. The girls, small and weary, accepted his presence without question, Yet each movement spoke of resilience honed in adversity. They were more than abandoned. They were survivors. Caleb, once a man defined by ambition and numbers, felt a tectonic shift inside himself, a realization that the meaning he sought had nothing to do with fortune or influence. By the time they left the cafe, Caleb had resolved to see them safe, no matter what it would cost him. Their journey was not merely physical, it was a crossing into the unexpected territory of care, empathy, and the beginning of a bond that neither wealth nor time could measure. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows along the road as he buckled them into his SUV, classical music filling the small space. He asked gently for their home, listening to Lily's description of a trailer past the river, blankets keeping them warm despite a broken heater. The story of Caleb's past, buried beneath decades of suits and boardroom victories, flickered briefly the memory of his own mother, lost opportunities, and the lessons learned in silent hallways of courts and hospitals. Yet none of that diminished the urgency of the present. The girls, wrapped in the warmth of his coat and his resolve, were tangible reminders of life's unexpected intersections, where chance meetings could redefine the course of existence. As the SUV wound through the fading light, Caleb's mind was a whirlwind of reflection, worry, and nascent hope. Each turn of the wheel was a pledge. He would not walk away. These small lives, intertwined with his own through unseen threads of fate, demanded his presence, his attention, and his unwavering commitment. And so began the first chapter of a story that promised both challenge and joy. A story of two little girls, a man rediscovering the capacity to care, and the first steps toward building a family in the shadow of what was lost but not forgotten. In the quiet hum of the car and the soft sounds of the city behind them, Caleb felt a warmth he had long denied himself. Not the warmth of wealth or power, but the true, uncalculated warmth of connection. The drive through the quiet streets of Asheville carried a strange mixture of autumn scents and the faint hum of civilization. Hazel, small and bundled in Caleb's overcoat, rested her cheek against the soft fabric, while Lily's eyes scanned the passing scenery with a tentative curiosity. Caleb's grip on the steering wheel was firm yet gentle. Each curve of the road, each bump, reminded him that these were not just children in need, they were his children. Lily, sensing the weight of silence in the car, broke it with a question, her voice soft but steady. "Can we see her?" The her was Emily, the mother they so desperately longed for, and the woman whose presence had been absent yet profound in their lives. Caleb felt his chest tighten at the thought. He knew the story that had brought them here, yet the reality of the moment demanded action, courage, and unwavering attention. Arriving at the trailer park, the vehicle slowed, gravel crunching beneath the tires. The trailer itself leaned slightly, a patchwork of repairs and faded paint. A blue tarp covered a broken window, and weeds had begun reclaiming the small yard. Caleb stepped out first, each motion careful and deliberate, conscious of the children in his care. Hazel clutched her teddy bear tighter, while Lily followed closely, eyes wide with a blend of anticipation and fear. Inside, the trailer smelled of mildew and faint illness. The room was dimly lit, shadows clinging to corners as if to protect secrets. A frail figure lay beneath mismatched blankets, a woman pale and exhausted. Emily. The sight struck Caleb with unexpected force, memories from years past surfacing unbidden. A rooftop party, laughter frozen in a photograph, and the realization that he had never truly left her in his heart. He knelt beside her, feeling the weak pulse beneath her wrist, relief washing over him in waves. The girls approached quietly, Hazel glancing back at Caleb for reassurance. Their footsteps were hesitant, careful not to disturb the fragile world around them. Caleb, aware of every small gesture, draped himself between the past and the present, a guardian, stepping into the unknown. Hazel whispered, "She gets cold a lot." That's why we tried to get food, so she wouldn't be cold tonight. The honesty, the innocence, the raw concern for someone else despite their own suffering pierced through Caleb's armor. He realized that survival had not hardened them. It had deepened their capacity for love and empathy beyond their years. The letter came next, a folded envelope, worn and familiar, handed carefully by Lily. Caleb recognized the handwriting immediately. 7 years of absence, of questions left unanswered, were encapsulated in the words of Emily, explaining their connection, revealing that the twins were his daughters. The words hit him softly, but with undeniable force, a quiet earthquake shaking the foundation of his carefully constructed life. "Caleb, they're yours. You deserve to know," the letter read, the inked words bridging the gap between past regrets and present responsibilities. He held it close to his heart, a tangible reminder of both loss and opportunity. For the first time in years, the notion of family real, imperfect, and alive anchored him more than his fortune ever had. Caleb looked at the girls again, their small faces reflecting cautious hope. He asked, "Do you want to see her?" Hazel nodded. Lily mirrored her, and together they approached Emily. The hospital had been prepped with care, every detail designed to protect them from shock, yet the moment remained surreal. Machines beeped softly, the sterile light contrasting the warmth that Caleb now carried inside. The reunion was quiet, yet profound. Hazel pressed her cheek against Emily's hand. Lily's small fingers traced the edge of the blanket as if smoothing out wrinkles in time itself. Caleb observed, the past and present merging, every heartbeat synchronized to the fragile rhythm of recovery and belonging. For him, for the girls, for Emily, life had taken a sharp turn into something deeply human and emotionally transformative. Outside the immediate safety of the hospital room, Caleb grappled with the practical realities, medical care, legal documentation, and the presence of Jason, a man intent on claiming rights he had never earned. Yet none of these obstacles could diminish the growing bond between father and daughters, the subtle thread of trust stitched between them through quiet acts of protection and love. The girls adapted, guided by Caleb's steady presence. Hazel's small hand remained in his as they navigated the corridors. Lily's alert eyes scanned everything, ensuring safety while absorbing the comfort of being accompanied by someone who truly cared. Each step, each cautious movement, reinforced the fragile architecture of trust, built carefully, tenderly, and irrevocably. Caleb's reflection was constant. The man who once measured life in profits and acquisitions now measured it in safety, warmth, and the small yet profound victories of family restored. The narrative of survival, of secrecy, of fear, and ultimately revelation had transformed from isolated episodes into a connected story of redemption. He realized that his responsibility was not merely a legal or moral obligation, it was a deeply human act of presence. The girls were no longer alone, and in caring for them, Caleb discovered the profound joy, the ache, and the fulfillment of reclaiming a life he had never truly lived. And so the chapter closed with an unspoken promise. That night, the twins slept safely, Emily rested under supervision, and Caleb stayed, fully immersed in the weight, the beauty, and the raw vulnerability of a family reunited. It was the beginning of a journey where love, protection, and presence became the defining measures of his world. Morning sunlight spilled through the cabin windows, casting warm golden streaks across the hardwood floor. The air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of fallen leaves and maple syrup, blending with the aroma of cinnamon toast that Caleb had prepared. Hazel hummed softly to herself while arranging blueberries into a smiley face on her plate. Lily sat cross-legged on a bar stool, carefully brushing syrup across her pancake, her focus precise and quiet. For the first time, the house felt alive, filled with the rhythmic sounds of a family slowly knitting itself together. Caleb moved among them, rolling up his sleeves and attending to breakfast with deliberate care. Each motion seemed infused with a newfound patience, a willingness to linger in the moment rather than rush toward another meeting or obligation. His heart, long confined by schedules and spreadsheets, stretched into unfamiliar territory, one defined by the warmth of connection and the soft laughter of children discovering safety and love. The previous week's tension, hospital visits, late-night drives, the fragile balance of Emily's condition was giving way to a quiet rhythm. Hazel's tiny hand sought reassurance in his coat sleeve as they ate, while Lily carefully observed every small detail, a witness to the establishment of a sanctuary that was at once simple and profound. Caleb realized that security was not measured in locks or walls, but in consistent presence, in showing up day after day. Margot had arrived mid-morning, balancing a casserole dish and a paper bag filled with muffins. Her presence, steady and grounding, reminded Caleb of the network of care and support that could flourish when compassion guided action. The girls giggled, sharing the treats as though they were treasures discovered in a secret garden. Caleb watched, the corners of his mouth lifting in quiet, unspoken satisfaction. For the first time in years, he felt the weight of responsibility as a joy rather than a burden. School was the next step. Caleb had called in a favor to enroll the girls immediately. Hazel clung to his hand the entire walk, trusting his guidance, while Lily moved just ahead, her gaze flicking back to ensure he remained close. Their new teacher, a gentle and observant woman named Miss Barlow, crouched to meet their eye level, offering encouragement and a sense of belonging. The classroom was warm, filled with books, musical instruments, and art supplies, a sanctuary of learning and creativity. Caleb left them there, his heart a mixture of pride and cautious relief, knowing that someone now ensured their growth in ways he alone could not provide. Back at the cabin, Caleb began to notice the subtle signs of life reclaiming the space. Crayons rolled under the couch, tiny socks lay scattered near the fireplace, and a smiley face had been drawn on a fogged-up mirror. Each mark was a testament to the presence of children, their adaptation, and the normalization of joy in their routines. Margot brought soup and groceries, her familiar guidance ensuring that Caleb's immersion in fatherhood did not come at the cost of practicality. Evenings were filled with story time, laughter, and quiet conversation. Lily and Hazel claimed a corner of the living room with cushions and blankets, each creating a small world of their own imagination, while Caleb and Emily observed. Their interactions, gentle and patient, allowed the children to establish trust and familiarity, while Caleb's careful attention bridged the gap between past estrangement and present care. Legal matters loomed quietly in the background. Jason's attempts to assert custody added tension, yet Caleb remained focused on the tangible, daily acts of love and responsibility. Character letters, photographs, and personal testimony created a fortress of evidence to protect the family that had been forged not by documents, but by consistent, genuine care. Caleb's presence, measured, deliberate, and unwavering, spoke louder than any legal argument. As days passed, the cabin became a place where small victories accumulated. Hazel learning to trust her surroundings, Lily adjusting to routines, Emily regaining strength under careful supervision. Each night, Caleb ensured they were tucked in, blankets pulled tight, nightlights casting gentle glows. Sleep, once elusive and fraught with worry, became a time of peace and restoration. Moments of reflection punctuated the quiet of early mornings and late evenings. Caleb realized that the life he had once considered complete: boardrooms, deals, wealth, was empty, without the threads of connection that now wove themselves through the cabin. The girls' laughter, the soft murmur of Emily's voice, the shared rituals of meals and play, defined the contours of meaning in ways that no achievement ever had. Margot and Caleb worked in tandem to create stability, establishing routines, decorating rooms with fairy lights, organizing bookshelves, and providing creative spaces for the girls to express themselves. Drawings and notes began to populate the walls, symbolic of trust, creativity, and the reclamation of childhood. Caleb learned patience, improvisation, and the value of consistent attention, understanding that presence alone could heal fractures caused by years of absence and hardship. The legal process reached its conclusion quietly but decisively. Custodial rights were awarded to Caleb and Emily, the court recognizing the foundation of love and care established over weeks of dedicated presence. Jason's attempts to intervene, though procedural, could not undo the bonds formed through genuine attention and unwavering support. The court's decision affirmed what Caleb already knew: the family they had become was real, lasting, and protected not by authority alone, but by consistent care and devotion. Evenings in the cabin were now rich with small rituals, tea, laughter, storytelling, and gentle guidance. The girls thrived, exploring, creating, and discovering a world safe enough to nurture their resilience. Caleb's nights were spent reflecting, journaling, and simply observing a man rediscovering the meaning of life, not through acquisitions, but through presence. By the time night fell, the cabin glowed softly from the fireplace, shadows dancing along the walls as the family settled. Hazel rested, Lily hummed a gentle tune, Emily leaned into Caleb, and he felt a profound sense of fulfillment. It was a life built from nothing but care, commitment, and love. Every action a testament to the power of choosing to stay, to nurture, and to transform lives through presence and empathy. The quiet of the cabin settled over them like a soft blanket, the kind that carries the warmth of safety and the echo of laughter. Caleb Whitmore, once a man defined by wealth, power, and meticulous routines, now measured life differently. Every smile from Hazel, every curious glance from Lily, every whispered word of thanks from Emily had become more valuable than any fortune he had ever amassed. In their eyes, he saw the reflection of purpose, a purpose born not from ambition, but from the simple act of showing up, of choosing to care when it mattered most. Through the small victories and tender routines, the family had discovered what so many spend a lifetime searching for: connection. The twins, once fragile and frightened, flourished under the protection and love of a father who had learned to see them fully, to listen, and to respond with unwavering presence. Emily's recovery, slow but steady, became a shared journey, a symbol of resilience and hope. Caleb's life had changed in ways he could never have foreseen. The mansion, the business accolades, the carefully curated schedule, all of it seemed hollow compared to the vibrancy of the family now taking root. Each day brought new challenges, yes, but also immeasurable joy. Pancakes in the morning, coloring sessions, bedtime stories, gentle encouragement, and quiet conversations became the framework of a life richer than any bank account could provide. This story is more than a tale of reunion. It is a testament to the power of presence, empathy, and commitment. Life may present us with moments of despair, with children left to fend for themselves, with loved ones distant or unreachable. But the choices we make in those moments define everything that follows. Caleb chose to stay. He chose to act. He chose love. And in doing so, he created a sanctuary where two children could grow, a mother could heal, and a father could finally find meaning beyond material success. To all who watch, remember, the power to change a life lies in simple, deliberate actions. Being present, showing compassion, offering kindness, these are the things that shape the world more profoundly than wealth or recognition ever could. Caleb's journey, and that of Hazel and Lily, is proof that love is not measured by time lost, but by the courage to engage with life fully, even in its most fragile moments. If this story touched your heart, even for a moment, we invite you to stay with us. Subscribe to the Retold Stories and join us in celebrating tales of hope, family, and second chances. Let this be a reminder that every act of care matters, every presence counts, and every heart can make a difference. In the end, it is not the grandeur of life, but the quiet acts of love that create the warmth we all long for.